Hey, my name is Ryan Ridgway. I'm the founder and managing partner of Cirrus Investments and Cirrus Capital Partners. Over about the last decade or so, I've helped raise over $800 million in non-dilutive capital. So that's debt or credit, working with anyone from early stage startups that are in a very nascent setting all the way to lower middle market and middle market companies on various kind of financing use cases. So today, I wanted to share with you 3 ways to access growth capital without having to rely on venture funding or dilute your cap table. Point 1, tap into private credit options. So without getting too exhaustive here, when you think about non-dilutive capital or credit or debt, which we can use interchangeably, private credit is simply non-bank capital. So think private credit funds, maybe family offices, maybe high net worth individuals, if not just lenders that are not banks, but they want to lend capital to you and they like lending into a growth use case. So there is a broad swath of various lenders out there. You know, if you're let's say a CPG company with an asset profile, let's say you have, accounts receivable and inventory, you're probably going to appeal to a certain type of lender versus maybe a SaaS company that has high growth and recurrent sticky revenue, who's probably going to be more of the darling for venture capital dollars, but also looking for credit. There's going to be a different kind of subset of credit there. And so I think the core takeaway there is understand your underlying theme of business and understand that there's going to be a plethora of different lending solutions and lending providers that are specific to your theme of business. Point number 2, our approach here at Cirrus, because if you go back to what I just said, it sounds like a daunting process, right? And sometimes it can be to think about, okay, I have a certain type of business. How do I even go about finding out which lenders are going to be the best fit for my business? Because a lot of this is just frankly private market data. Even if you do a Google search, you might pop up with some folks who are advertising for what you're searching for in particular. But typically Google's going to limit those ads to maybe 3 to 5, or don't quote me on that number. I'm not a marketer by trade, but it's going to be fairly limited. And you don't know whether those groups are going to be the best fit for your business or whether those groups are simply just spending the most dollars to appear number 1 on Google, but might not have the degree of relevancy that could be a best fit. So what we do at Cirrus is we understand every element about your business, both quantitative and qualitative, and we actually directly compare and index that against the entire capital markets specific to lenders or credit investors. And on the other side, we understand their respective underwriting criteria. We know how, their average check size, for instance, the credit instruments. We know exactly what industries they like, geographically where they extend capital, and about 50 other data points to remove a lot of the friction involved in that search process. Additionally, we're good stewards of being aligned until the finish line, and so it's not a set it and forget it type of experience. We're true kind of thought partners. Because there's a lot of things that can pop up, frankly enough, just towards the latter stages. When you do identify those best fit lenders and they're sending you term sheets or long form docs that you have to review and decide, is this a good fit? It can help to have a coach in your corner letting you know, hey, this is really typical to find in a term sheet or an agreement versus this isn't so typical. Maybe we can push back and kind of negotiate against this a little bit. So that's what our process typically looks like, is being an extension of your respective team and running a formal capital markets process. And then the last point I'll just quickly make here is just the various kind of folks that we can help. So obviously we help companies and we help them get access to non-dilutive forms of capital. In addition to helping companies, there's typically a lot of other folks involved when you think about a growing business or venture. You likely have a CFO, maybe a fractional CFO. You likely have folks that sit on the cap table, and maybe there's other kind of finance or accounting related folks that you work with or vendors. So we're kind of tucked into this entire ecosystem, and we've built some really great relationships in those ways as well. And so maybe at this point in the video, I'm kind of speaking less directly to you as a founder or entrepreneur, and more to folks that might have stumbled across this video who might be in support of those. And if that's the case, we've grown accustomed to working with everyone from, again, fractional CFOs, venture capitalists, accountants, trade groups, other folks that are looking for kind of an end-all be-all platform or advisory firm that can help guide your clients to getting the best outcome in the way of a good lending relationship or a successful outcome on the ideal fit transaction that they're looking for at the end of the day. So anyways, that's my spiel. I hope this was in some way educational and not too much of a sales pitch for you. But if you are a founder, or if you are from an ancillary setting involved in that ecosystem of supporting founders and entrepreneurs, and you're engaged in these conversations about should we give up equity, should we not give up equity, perhaps we can fund some of the predictable elements of the business like sales, marketing, growth, et cetera, with or working capital for that matter, with non-dilutive capital, reach out. We're here to be a thought partner. We have kind of a no risk setting where we're happy to spend some time with you, 15, 30 minutes, an hour. Let's learn more about your business. If we're not a good fit, there's a good opportunity to probably point you to folks who are a good fit for your specific kind of stage and setting. So anyways, hope you reach out. Hope we can share a conversation soon, and be well, and cheers to your continued growth.